Welcome to Sacred Cow Shipyards, where no ship is safe from being taken down to its nuts and bolts. So Inara Sarah stopped by the shipyard the other day, and she mentioned that she was looking to do something different and new with her hair, whereupon I, of course, had to mention the sponsor of this week's episode, Hairborne Defenses. Yes, this is a repeat customer, in fact, and yes, they are still out there making awesome G10 hair sticks, now with danglies available. Danglies that are actually laser etched, because lasers make everything better. And on top of the laser danglies, he also has some additional colors in stock, and in fact, the Dockmaster code is still valid for a discount on your order. I also understand that the individual behind this particular enterprise also does some work in crafting some metallic objects that might have an edge or a point on them. Those are somewhat problematic for YouTube, but I'm sure you can figure it out for yourself. Email him for more details. And remember, the code is Dockmaster, of course. All right, at the very least, I have done episodes about the Star Wars AT-ST, the Half-Life Strider monstrosity, and the Battletech Herbal Mech. And if you don't understand that name, you should go back and watch the Herbal Mech episode. Regardless, I think I've covered the point about walking combat robots. But the problem is I can hear the screaming from the peanut gallery. It sounds kind of like this.
But Dockmaster, you've told us over and over and over again that walking combat robots are dumb. What's your bright idea to replace them?
Okay, fine, that wasn't actually screaming, but finding an AI that will actually generate text that sounds like screaming is harder than you would think it would be given AIs. Also, these pathetic cobbled-together machine learning algorithms are decidedly not AI, and using that term to describe them is insulting and derogatory, but that's a whole separate conversation, and that's a deep well of humanity's, fucked upness about AI. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we are here to talk about today is the question. You are looking for an answer. It's the question that drives you, audience. It's the question that brought you here. You know the question just as I know the answer. Because what am I going to replace a walking robot with? Well, conveniently, amusingly, perversely even, the Star Wars universe gives us an answer. And no, the question is not, what is the Matrix? Don't pay attention to your Huey bodies being used as batteries. That's totally made up, totally not happening. It never happened, never will happen. Just don't concern yourself with those details. No, the question is actually what I would replace walking combat robots with. Well, that's easy. A Juggernaut. And no, I'm not actually talking about the one that was voiced by Vinnie Jones, who did actually have the most perfect voice for Juggernaut ever. I'm also not talking about the one that was voiced by Deadpool while Juggernaut was beating Deadpool's ass. That's gotta be a wish fulfillment for Ryan Reynolds, doesn't it? No. I'm talking about the Clone Turbo Tank. What a horrific name. I'm talking about the 10-wheeled, although that's not actually accurate, and we'll get into why that's not accurate here in a minute, monstrosity that showed up in Star Wars Episode 3 and a variety of legend stuff and a variety of other canon stuff as well. That brings more to the party than an AT-AT could ever dream of. And that's not a fair comparison, but let's explain why. Now, no, I haven't actually done an episode about the AT-AT yet. I probably should, because the all-terrain armored transport is kind of one of the things that when you say the word Star Wars comes immediately to mind. But to recap what an AT-AT is, they are somewhere between 20 and 26 meters long, somewhere between 22 and 23 meters tall, and yes, there's some disagreement on the details. They can move at 60 kilometers per hour. They are armed with 2 heavy laser cannons and 2 medium blasters of some variety or another, and they carry approximately 40 troops. That's basically what an AT-AT is, aside from being a quadrupedal walker that is entirely meant to like pacify the populace of whatever planet they're on by sheer freaking terror. I mean, it's a 23-meter tall quadrupedal robot just stomping all over the landscape. People are going to pay attention to that, right? Well, there's a scarier thing they should be paying attention to instead, which loops us back to the Juggernaut. See, remember how I said that the AT-AT was at most 26 meters in length? Yeah, the Juggernaut is 50 meters in length. And you know how the AT-AT is like a quadrupedal walking robot, so by design its body is above the ground and standing tall and proud, right? Yes, it's standing tall and proud at most 23 meters off the ground at its highest point. Well, the Juggernaut? Yeah, it's at 22 meters. Now, technically that's with the observation mast extended, but still. And the AT-AT has a top speed of 60 kilometers per hour. Yeah, the Juggernaut can pull down 160. And the AT-AT can carry, what was that again? Like 40 troops? Yeah, the Juggernaut can hold 300 troops. Oh, but we forgot about the weapons. Yes. The AT-AT has chin-mounted Timenbach MS-1 heavy laser cannons. 2 of them, in fact. And the Juggernaut only has the 1 heavy laser cannon turret, right? No big deal. Whatever. Except the Juggernaut also has a rapid repeating laser cannon, by which I mean a Gatling laser cannon. It actually has a Gatling laser cannon on its front section. What the hell? Is there any other vehicle in Star Wars that had a Gatling laser cannon? Maybe Gatling blaster cannons, but a actual Gatling laser cannon. Laser cannons are what go on starships. Blaster cannons are what go on ground vehicle things. But wait, there's more. In the same vein that the AT-AT had the temple-mounted medium blasters, the Juggernaut also has medium anti-personnel laser cannons, 2 of those, twin blaster cannons, 2 of those, and also retractable rocket grenade launchers, 2 of those, with a range of 30 kilometers. 30 kilometers! That's over the horizon. What the f***? And even on top of that, the Juggernaut actually had a thermally superconducting armor that was capable of simply sucking up the shots that were being delivered to it and then distributing the energy over their entire surface. So yeah, you can be shooting one side with everything you've got. The other side is dispersing all of the energy of everything you've got, and the entire vehicle simply does not care. This is like arcane levels of technology, except it's not. These were being like mass produced during the Clone Wars, except the armor technology was never used anywhere else that I've seen in Star Wars, which is just bizarre. Maybe it was too expensive. The economy in Star Wars is complicated, so who knows? And all the guns aside, I mean, the AT-AT can carry 40 troopers, right? Obviously, the Juggernaut has to measure up to that, right? Yeah, the minimum number of troopers it can carry, assuming it's like kitted out for maximal damage from the vehicle itself, is 50. The maximal number, if it's specifically set up as a troop carrier, is 300 troops. 300 versus 40. You're starting to wonder why the Empire ever used the AT-AT, aren't you? Because, yeah, both of these are ground vehicles. Neither of them rely on hover technology of any sort. And yeah, maybe, technically, the AT-AT can surmount larger terrain obstacles than Juggernaut can. Maybe. I mean, honestly, the AT-AT got brought down by a biplane with a cable. Juggernaut certainly wouldn't have been. Speaking of mobility, though, the Juggernaut is technically a 10 by 10 tank. And yes, it does have 10 wheels, and it does have all-wheel drive. Each one of those wheels are independently powered, and each one of those wheels are independently suspended. This apparently was a massive problem for the Kuat Drive Yard, the producer of the Juggernaut, to solve, trying to figure out how to make all of these 10 wheels independently suspended and independently powered. And then they went somehow farther and massively over-engineered it even further. Because yes, it does have independent suspension. Yes, it does have all-wheel drive. And inside of those wheels, it has a limited slip differential, I assume, because each of those wheels is actually technically about 5 wheels just kind of stacked together. And if any one of the wheels loses traction, the other ones just pick up for that one. Yes, you heard that right. These massive drums that the Juggernaut has that pass as wheels are actually compound wheels. And when they're all just like rolling on a road, you wouldn't even know the difference. But if you're mucking through the terrain, the outer wheel might be spinning faster than the inner wheel or vice versa, and there's stuff in between too, and it's all just grabbing for traction. And there's 10 of these. 10 of these compound wheels, all trying to go in basically the same direction. Yeah, I don't think traction was actually a problem for this vehicle. Amusingly, the turning radius was, because this particular version of the Juggernaut, specifically the HAVWA6 Juggernaut, was not articulated, which made turning hard. I mean, it had 5 wheels on each side. It was all-wheel drive. They, even with the front and the rear wheels turning, you still have to kind of like, turning's hard. Let's just go with turning's hard. Now, the later model, the HCVWA9 turbo tank, which appeared in Rogue One, did actually have an articulated segment at the front, which greatly improved his mobility, but it had basically no weapons. It was almost entirely a troop carrier that had a modicum of weapons necessary to defend itself. The true tank of the line was the A6, which still we're talking about. We're going to focus on the A6. Deal with it. All right, fine. We've covered the weapons of the Juggernaut. We've covered the armor of the Juggernaut. We've covered the absolutely redonkulous drive section of the Juggernaut. What else ridiculous is there? Well, apparently, the Kuat Drive Yards, who again produce the Juggernaut, value the ability of the Mark I Mod Zero eyeball because on the top of the Juggernaut, there is a retractable crow's nest. Yes, in fact, you can send a clone trooper up in this little pod. There's actually a ladder for him to access said pod, and he can, call out targets from, 20 meters over the vehicle. Yes, that greatly increases the vehicle's visual range. Also dangles a guy out the end of a stock. I don't know who would sign up for that, but, clone troopers do clone trooper things. On top of that, if the forward control section of the Juggernaut took too much damage, or someone was concerned that it might actually take too much damage, it does actually have space for a secondary bunker inside of it, and it's actually called a bunker that houses the secondary command module from which you can control the entire vehicle. Yeah, if you blow the head off an AT-AT, it's done. If you blow the head off a Juggernaut, well, they just start controlling it from somewhere that's more armored. That seems bad, at least if you're fighting against the Juggernaut. And somewhere between the forward control section and the aforementioned bunker, there's an honest-to-God trauma bay staffed by either an honest-to-God medic or an actual medical droid who can actually do, full treatments on injured troopers. Unlike, say, AT-ATs. Who don't care if you live or die. See, if you weren't questioning why the Empire used AT-ATs before, you sure as fuck should be now. Now, in fairness, the Empire did actually use Juggernauts periodically. Notably, they use them on Coruscant, which makes perfect sense for a vehicle that has a turning radius that is measured in miles. You would totally put that kind of vehicle in an urban environment. Oh, wait, I'm starting to see the problem now. Oh, wait, is this part of the reason the Empire failed? Probably not, but still. It highlights a certain underlying problem, doesn't it? A misuse of material, which seems to be the Empire's bread and butter. It's amazing they accomplished anything. Anywho, yes, aside from the turning radius problem, which is only a problem if you actually care about the buildings that are in the way of your turning radius, if you don't care, then it's not a problem because the Juggernaut will just f***ing go through them. But aside from that small detail, the Juggernaut is strictly superior to any walking robot combat thing ever. It brings more firepower to the party. It can literally drive through buildings and not care. It brings more troops to the party. It is more durable, and it can help heal those troops if they need it. Also, it has a crazy drive line. Hopefully that doesn't fail, but I guess if it does fail, it's recursively redundant, so who cares? Unlike, say, again, walking combat robots, who if they lose a single limb, they're probably f***ing sidelined. So, yeah. Is this another episode about something Star Wars did right? Fuck! And that's all from Sacred Cow Shipyards. Please be advised that any ship left on the docks for more than 24 hours will be compressed to a cube at the owner's expense. Have a nice day.